Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of the USC Trojans on Fan Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Hare, joined by my co-host, Jacob Erlbaum. And today, we're joined by one of the best running backs in USC history, LenDale White. Thank you so much for being here today. How you doing?
What's going on, Jacob and Jacob? How y'all doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I can't complain, brother. I'm actually in LA right now. I have a couple things I got to do tomorrow. But I mean, I'm excited to be here, and even more excited, for our Trojans right now. So I appreciate you guys having me.
Another win for the Trojans last week. Nothing to complain about.
Yeah, as long as we win, I don't have nothing to complain about. I mean, I don't really have nothing to complain about at all right now. Lincoln Riley's doing an unbelievable job. I think he's passed the expectations that a lot of us had. I mean, we knew he would come in and be good, but like I said, I think I've been hyping it since the beginning because I knew, how good teams can be, especially when they have belief in something new, and once they get on the road, how that can work. So, I mean, I'm just happy to be a Trojan right now. I mean, if anybody's on this train right now, they should be happy too because it seems that we're going in the right direction.
Were you expecting this fast start to start the year?
I definitely was. I mean, if you go back and check some of my podcasts out with my good friend Kristen Lago, we do the USC podcast every week. We believe. I'm also on a Smash and Dash podcast with Chris Johnson, the former running back at the Tennessee Titans. But I've been telling them on all these podcasts since the beginning of time that don't be surprised if we win 10 games. And people like, how do you expect them to win like that? I'm like, first of all, like Lincoln Riley coming in, I don't think you understand, like like he already has consistency with Caleb. You know what I'm saying? That's why Caleb came. So I'm like, this is going to be a second year in that offense. They believe in him. He's going to be in LA as a new start. I just had so much, or the hype for me was real because I've been around football like this and I know how it goes. Like if your team starts to believe and everybody starts to believe, unbelievable things can really happen, man. So yes, I've been on a bandwagon since the beginning because I know, when what happens when team believes, special things usually happen.
So you said 10 wins now, undefeated, sitting at 6-0 to start the year. More than 10 wins, you think now?
I mean, I think selfishly, I want it, yeah, for sure. I want it just because it's been a long time for us to, like say that we've had teams like this. And I just think the talent that's on that team is just undeniable right now. I think that we are a little bit of ways on defense right now, but we still have the playmakers. Obviously, when you lose somebody like Bullock, and you get him out the game early and he's not, because of I guess it was a targeting penalty, was it? But when it was early, but once he went out the game, I was watching at home and it's just like things changed. But he's definitely a difference maker out there. So, I can kind of credit that to that. But the defense is what's going to be the backbone. And I think as long as our defense continues to step up, Caleb, Addison, even Super Mario, because he's been showing us, Travis Dye, he's doing an unbelievable job right now. We have playmakers that can make plays. It just, keep believing in those guys and defense keep getting the ball, getting us turnovers so they can keep making plays. And I think that anything's possible. Yes, we can win more than 10 games. I don't see why we can't.
Now, you mentioned Travis Dye being a good playmaker for this USC team. The other night against Washington State, 149 yards on the ground and a touchdown. His fourth game over 100 yards on the season. What have you liked so much about the running back for the Trojans?
He's grit. I like the grit that we have. Like nobody's really dancing back there. You know what I mean? They're seeing what they see and they're hitting the hole. The patience is crazy right now because that's what's getting these guys to the second level and able for them to make the bigger plays on the back end of it. So I love the patience, but I also love just how tough they've been running. When you look at T Dye, no gloves, no nothing on the arms, you know what I'm saying? Bare leg. He looks like somebody that's, out there and he means business, you know what I'm saying? And then A. Jones comes out there. Shout out to A. Jones. I just found out that one of my good friends actually works with his dad up there in the base for Sacramento. So I got to holler at him. But they've been running. I mean, you got Raleek out there. He's definitely going to be one of those guys that once it finally clicks for him, it's going to be crazy to see what he does. I love our running game. You still got Barlow. You know, you got people back there that can make plays. So, yes, I'm excited to see where our running game is with. To know that we have 4 straight weeks of 100-yard rushes is unbelievable. You know, last year was hard to come by. So, yes, yeah, great stuff, guys.
Yeah, so Travis Dye is a guy who played at Oregon. He's played in many big games during his career, and I think he's one of the oldest guys on the offense. How much of his veteran leadership helps out the offense? Because the offense isn't so old with young guys like Caleb, who's only a sophomore, Brandon Rice, Mario Williams.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think that helps them a lot because when you can give it to a veteran like that, and he's proven over these weeks that he can make plays, it calms the offense down. Like when we really needed to get a play done or a big play made, rather whether it be a first down, a big first down, and we hand the ball off to him, he scores a touchdown on, some of these plays. It's like he's not just showing that he can get tough yards. He's showing that he can also, break and make a big play on the back end, like I was saying. So, man, his veteran presence has made I guarantee a big difference for those guys in that locker room, just because they know that they can lean on him, and he's probably, like you said, they played against him, so they know like what kind of work he can give out. So that I know that they're happy that he's on our side instead of the other side right now.
Now, in addition to Travis Dye in the run game, quarterback Caleb Williams the past 2 weeks, his ability to make plays on the ground has been huge for the Trojans. What have you liked from the sophomore quarterback so much?
I just like, they nicknamed him the magician, right? So it's nice to just see him out there making plays. I've been around USC, my dealings with the program has been at least since 2001, where I've been, deeply in love, like, with USC football, and we've had some unbelievable quarterbacks, whether it be Carson, Matt Castle, Mark Sanchez, Booty, Cody, Sam Darnold, you know what I'm saying? Matt Barkley. We have unbelievable success at the quarterback position, but I haven't seen. I don't think an explosive guy like that in the backfield, like that can make plays for in the running game, and he's a threat making like with the ball. So, Sam Darnold did an unbelievable job years ago with us, and he was to see him on the run, but he wasn't really as athletic as Caleb. So it's just crazy to see him out there making plays. When you think you have him in a bind, he finds his way out of it and he completes a pass down field, and it just feels good, man. If you're not excited about this stuff right now, then I don't know what's going to get you excited about Trojan football.
A lot of the quarterbacks you just listed are West Coast guys. You got Mark Sanchez, Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Cody Kessler, and that's a big part of recruiting. And USC just joined the Big Ten. So let's say you're a recruit from the West Coast. Does the travel impact your decision, or are you coming to USC regardless?
If you're a great football player, and this is what USC thrived on in the past. If you want to be the greatest, you got to play with the greatest. You know what I mean? So
I definitely agree.
If Ohio State is the best, you know what I'm saying? If Michigan's out there and they're the best, like why would you waste that talent, on staying or wanting to just play the UCLAs or the Oregon States of the world? If you're really that great and you want to be the best and you want to play the best, so I feel like this helps us in recruiting tremendously because, not only do kids in, Pennsylvania or Ohio, Idaho, wherever it may be, even those big kids in Iowa, like now they get to see us, up close and personal. So now we might be able to flip some of those recruits, get some of those big Iowa linemen to come on down to USC. So no, I think this helps us. I think kids want to play on that big stage. Spotlight is huge, man. What better place than, can you imagine USC down in Penn State, the all white bowl game, like the white bowl.
White out.
Yes, that's going to be crazy. Like it's going to be 100,000 people out there, and that's when they really get to see that USC travels and that this program is one of these storied and established, well-traditioned, well-groomed. Like we are the elite, and it's time for us to show us. I can't wait for it. This is a great opportunity for us to prove to the world that why USC has been so elite and why we have the Hall of Famers that we do, the Heismans that we do, the national championships that we do.
I mean, definitely, you made some great points right there talking about the Penn State whiteout game. And I agree that they need better competition. I mean, you can't get into the playoffs every year winning every game against a Washington State or Utah or an Oregon State. You're going to have to play a Michigan or an Ohio State or Penn State or Maryland eventually. So right now, the defensive line, in my opinion, I think they only have maybe one or two NFL caliber players. Then you look at a Michigan or an Ohio State or some of the other teams I previously listed, and they got 4 or 5 guys that legitimately are NFL players. Does that concern you at all in the Trojans playoff hunt?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, listen, I played at USC and I beat the crap out of Michigan every time I played them. You know, I beat Oklahoma every time I played them. I beat the Arkansas and the Auburn. So it's like I hear what people are saying. If you recruit well and those kids believe, man, no, I don't. You can't tell me Sean Cody, Lawrence Jackson, Cedric Ellis, Manny Wright. I don't know. It keeps going and it never stops. Like you can't tell me that those guys weren't going to compete. Kenichu, Daisy, and these guys, these were all first-round draft picks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those guys may be a little bigger. They might be a little bit more corn-fed. But if you're telling me that my guys at USC can't compete, I'll tell you baloney, and I stand by that. We get, the top players for a reason. And, once we reestablish and we start getting these guys back and sneaking these Texas guys or, even like I said, Ohio, Penn State, when we start getting these guys from those, the people will start believing in the game. It's going to happen, man. It's happened. It's going to happen.
What does a coach like Lincoln Riley do for the program as far as recruiting? Obviously, the move to the Big Ten is going to help with that, but also having Coach Riley, that's so huge for this team and this program going forward.
I think it just boosts morale overall. Like I'm not taking shots at Clay Helton. Clay Helton's an unbelievable guy. He did the best with what he got. I think people thought that it was really Clay's fault, but it's like, the guys that put Clay in that position, it's their fault because the position was a little too big for him. And yes, I'm not taking anything away from the players we had when he was here because they're Trojans forever, but those weren't the caliber players that we were used to seeing. When you look at what Lincoln Riley already has brought in and what the Jordan Addisons, showing why he won a Biletnikoff last year. When you look at Caleb Williams, you're showing why he was getting all the freshman recognition last year. You could see why, Spencer Rattler got a little nervous and probably was ready to transfer after, and Spencer Rattler was one of the most sought after quarterbacks ever. You know what I mean? I remember watching him on QB1 years ago. So I'm just, when you just see that and you look at Lincoln Riley's track record, it's not a long list right now, but if you look at how long Lincoln Riley's been a head coach and how many number one Heisman quarterbacks he's had, if you're looking at the success he's had as a player, then you're like, man, I might want to play for this guy because he's going to get recognition, and he knows how to get his players drafted. So, and that's ultimately what everybody wants to get to, right? You want to come to you want to go to school, you want to win some national championships. Forgive me. You definitely want to win, but ultimately the goal is to get to the NFL. So if you look at his track record, he's been able to put out 2 number 1 overalls. They both won Heismans. You know what I mean? And it's just when you look at what he's able to do right now, and you look at the players he were able to bring in right now, and what they're the night and day. We've already eclipsed the win total from last year. We already have more turnovers than we have had in 3 years in 1 year. It's like when you look at the stats and you look at what he's able to do, he's giving you something to believe in. And I know that there's guys around looking at this, and those kids have heard of Reggie Bush stories and the Bush push, and back in those days when the SC was like, the guys, they want to experience that too. And this is Hollywood. You out here, you get to walk around in LA like there's nothing like that in the world. I'm sorry. There's Michigan, Ann Arbor, no. Ohio State, no. Tuscaloosa, come on. We're talking about Hollywood, California, and winning here. It's nothing like it, man.
Yeah, you talked about winning there. when the team's good, obviously they've struggled the past couple of years, but now like the vibes on campus, like how exciting does that make the players walking around, like stuff like that?
How did you feel when you were a player and you were winning?
Well, I mean, the feeling around campus is unreal because everybody's in on it. Like you got the student body that's probably haven't experienced this, like you said, in years. You got some seniors that's probably had nothing but struggle years and, like going through the Clay Helton years, and they're like, now they have Lincoln Riley for this last year. So they're like, man, I've never been 6-0. We've never been ranked in the top 10. Like I've never seen, the hype around teams like this. So them seeing that and getting to experience that, there's nothing like that on campus. I remember going to the barn parties or some of these frat parties at night, you know what I'm saying? And, they had the bring in the sand and you have like the beach night, just crazy stuff. But it was like, while football team is winning, like, they would roll out the red carpet for you, let you hang out. You can do anything you damn near wanted to do. And, they drinking, partying, hanging out, whatever the hell you wanted to do, the frat guys looking out for you, man. So it was like just a different time. So it was literally being a rock star on campus, man. And I know like right now that it may not be, the 2005, 2014, but to be undefeated and be in a top 10 situation, they're definitely getting to feel, a lot of love around there right now.
I feel with the USC and these other big schools in these big cities like a Miami or a Texas, and especially USC, I feel like it's more of a brand and a culture. I mean, would you say that statement's true? I mean, you have guys coming out to these games, and it's really more of an event. It feels like a UFC fight at some points.
Yeah.
So how would you feel about that?
I mean, well, because again, when you're in Hollywood, the theatrics that come along with it, when you're winning, anything can be possible here. You know what I'm saying? Anything is possible. You got the Staples Center, a couple miles away from where you play your home games. Downtown, again, and I keep stressing Hollywood because I'm saying like when a kid that comes from Colorado like myself, Denver, Colorado, and I commit to USC and I come here, I never understood what LA really was until I got to LA and I won and I'm experiencing LA, and it groomed me forever. So like now my love for LA is undeniable and I forever will be a Trojan, a Southern Cal, South Central kid. That's me, you know what I mean? And that's because when you win here, the people from this neighborhood, the people from South Central, the people from actual Southern California, they welcome you in and they love you. You know what I mean? There's not a place that like I feel like I can't go anywhere down here in Southern California where they're not going to be talking about something or remember some part of the glory days that they'll refer to. And, that's a great feeling. So when you get to winning and you can bring that back here, those kids will have something that they'll have, like myself, 20 years later, that they'll get to talking about and be grinning and, blushing like a, little high school kid when his girlfriend tells him they love him for the first time. It's like, yeah, that's how I feel about USC football right now. And I feel like that because of my, my past time here. It's, I don't know how many games it was straight, but when you win, 30-something games in a row, yes, and you go back to back and playing 3 straight national championship games. Yes, you feel this way about this program because you know where they can be.
So let's get into this game coming up this week. Obviously, a huge matchup on the road at Utah, one of the better teams in this conference. How big is it for this team to get a win this weekend on the road? They can make a huge statement and say, we're legit. If they go into Utah, take care of business handily. And it just gives them a lot of confidence going forward, especially after this game. They have a few weeks. The schedule gets a little bit easier before UCLA and then Notre Dame to end the year. How critical is it, this game?
Well, this is a critical game just because it's like a trap game. I mean, obviously, we know what just happened in Utah last week, so people probably don't believe in UCLA as much. And they're like, oh, well, if UCLA could beat Utah like this, then USC should, but that's not really the truth. Utah definitely has a great program. Kai Whittingham is an unbelievable coach. I actually did some work with him this summer. I got to meet some of those kids over there, and those kids are, they believe in their program right now. So it's not going to be easy. One of my best friends actually coached running backs over there, Quinton Ganther, and they have a running back that's, he's one of those guys. Like, so it's like, and we've been, struggling in the run game. So it just depends where we want to be as a team. Like if you're looking at yourself right now as a Trojan, and you, I mean, hopefully you're not reading the newspaper clippings, but if you feeling yourself any way, shape, or form, then this is one of those games you need to, put that paper down and buckle up and buckle in, because Utah believes in their program and they believe they can beat USC. Not only did they manhandle us last year, like that's fresh on their mind. They don't care about this new USC. They could care less about, Caleb or Jordan Addison. In their mind, they're like they own USC. So what people don't realize is I don't care if we're 4-7. When a team plays USC and they can beat you, that makes their career, that makes their life, that makes their everything. Because I guarantee you 90% of those kids wanted to be Trojans. So like when they can't be a Trojan, that hurts their heart. And when they can beat you, it sits with them forever. So you don't want to be that team losing. I'm telling you that.
Well, LenDale, we know you're a busy guy, but before we let you go, you just said that 90% of those kids wanted to be a Trojan. And as Trojan fans, we were very grateful that we got you for 3 years and 2 of those national championship teams. And when you're on a national championship team, crazy stuff happens. So what's the craziest story you have from your time at USC?
I remember going to the Super Bowl one year, me, Reggie, Steve Smith, Dominique Byrd, and we went out there and we were hanging out, and then we happened to end up running into Snoop Dogg, and it's like Snoop Dogg ended up, like, hey, you guys can hang out with me all weekend, basically. And it was just unbelievable, man. He was hanging out with like one of your idols, and his wife. They were just really awesome people. You would expect them to not, like look out like that. But when you think about it, I think Shantae, she had a cousin that actually played for USC. That's Snoop's wife. She had a cousin that played for USC, so she had ties to us. So it was kind of awesome, man. And they really used to love USC football until, I guess we started bull crapping, man, and just letting anybody just come in and coach us. But, Snoop's a diehard SC fan for life. Yeah, it was just unbelievable, man, to meet one of your high school, or not high school. Like I remember listening to Snoop Dogg, for the first time when I was a kid on DMX. That was a little cable box they used to give you that you could play music on, and I remember hearing his songs and, just being like, this is crazy. And then actually finally getting to meet him and hang out with him. There was nothing like that in the world, man. So yeah, and he's still a good friend. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that's probably like one of the craziest stories that I got.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on today, and hopefully the Trojans get a win this weekend at Utah, and we'll be back next week to discuss it. And LenDale, thank you so much, and we'll put the link in our bio for his podcast with Chris Johnson.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Fight on.
Fight on.
Right on. Go